The following program is a production of WMFE, Orlando, Melbourne, Daytona Beach.
Coming up on The Arts Connection. They make thousands smile every week, but who's behind this entertaining La Nuba act?
We can go where we want in the house, interact with whoever we want in the crowd, so we improvise.
Also, Kristen Kenney takes us on a creative venture.
One local kitchen is cooking up edible works of art, and we're going to sneak a bite.
People don't believe that it's really cake until we cut it up and served it.
Then we sample the arts of Seminole County. All that and more just ahead on The Arts Connection.
The Arts Connection is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by contributions to WMFE from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to The Arts Connection, your program about all things creative here in Central Florida. I'm Secily Wilson, and this week we're joining you from the Sanford Museum in downtown Sanford. And we're going to learn more about it a little later on in our program, and we'll also take a look at the cultural arts scene in Seminole County. But first, it's no news that Cirque du Soleil's La Nuba is extraordinary. But equally extraordinary are its artists who bring its magic to life. Kristen Kenney introduces us to two of La Nuba's most intriguing performers.
It's a 67-member cast, made up of over a dozen different languages. And for Sergei Shashalev, he has his own.
I'm deaf, it's part of my soul, it's part of, what comes out.
Sergei is one of two clowns in Cirque du Soleil's La Nuba. And much like the art of clowning, Sergei speaks only through expressions and sign language.
I can see, I don't need my voice, I can communicate with my hands and my eyes and my body, and I'm all set.
But his onstage counterpart, Michel Deschamps, known as Balto, is not deaf. Despite what some might consider a language barrier, the droll duo has offered quite the onstage showdown for over 10 years.
We can go where we want in the house, interact with whoever we want in the crowd, so we improvise.
So essentially, you're the creative masterminds behind each routine?
What we do in the show, it's our own creation.
We find good ideas and pull them out, develop them more and more, pick them up, put them in the show.
But at first, creating these ideas was not always easy.
When we first met, it was very awkward. We brought an interpreter in to communicate clearly.
Nonverbal communication quickly became their language and their reality, both on stage and off stage.
I would call it more like home signing, which is just something we use between us that other people may not always understand. If I brought another deaf person in here, he'd be like, "What are you two talking about?"
I go to an interpreter and I do like this. It's not a sign that they know, but us, we know it's the astronaut.
That's astronaut?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
bottle that we have on our head. So when we do that, we're talking about the astronaut.
Yeah, it's not the sign for
astronaut.
astronaut. Yeah,
and she's the translator. Yeah.
That means cowboy and Indian, even though it doesn't, and that's our baby bit. So we have things we've made up to go with our bits.
Do you consider being deaf a challenge?
It doesn't bother me that I'm deaf. I was born that way, and that's just the way that I am. My deaf world is okay, is what I know.
It's a world that might be unknown to Balto, but never an obstacle.
I saw this more like an opportunity to open and discover something, And I was like, this guy is probably very precise with his gesture. So I learned from him because he is talking with gestures.
Since Sergei was a child, he loved to perform.
I started when I was about 8 years old, I think, in front of an audience. I loved putting on makeup and putting on the paint. You could do mean faces or funny faces, just whatever you wanted. Putting the makeup on is the first step. It grew from there.
And 30 years later, in 1998, Sergei joined Balto on stage in La Nuba. Ever since, the two have mastered the art of clowning, both off stage and on.
We are there to touch the heart of the people and make them laugh. If we are not funny, if they don't like what we do, they don't laugh.
While the laughter feeds their performance, They each experience joy from two different worlds.
Because Sergei is deaf, he cannot feel what's going on about the auditive reaction of the crowd. He doesn't know if they are laughing a little bit more intensely than some other times. Me, I see that. So I adjust to the crowd, and Sergei is like just beside me or in front of me, whatever, but is connected to the crowd by me.
I may not hear them, but I know they're looking at me and I can feel their eyes on me as I'm doing my action. I feel the laughter. I think that I'm giving them that laughter, and I have that going on. I may not be able to hear it, that doesn't really matter, I feel it.
Don't they just make you smile? Well, their performances are Tuesdays through Saturdays in downtown Disney. Well, it's called The Wall, The Box, or Walking in the Wind. They're all signature moves performed in mime. Now, I don't do it so well, but we have someone who does, an Orlando mime named Nicholas J., and he's giving us a few tricks of the trade.
Imagine a world of silence where a story is told only through the art of expression. Nicholas J., a mime artist from Orlando, lives in that world every day, a world where no words are spoken, where it's what you do and not what you say that matters.
That's how we have the biggest impact on the people.
Nicholas is making his impact through mime.
I always wanted to travel in different planets, to be astronaut, and through the art and through the mime into the theater, I decided to create my own planet where I can travel and do whatever I want.
And right now, what he wants is to bring mime to the movies with The Marionette, a short film made right here in Orlando. It's already a hit, winning several awards. Nicholas wrote and produced this story of a magical marionette whose sole purpose is to bring joy to others by using his magical dust. And true to the spirit of mime, it has not one word of dialogue.
Marionette, it's a completely pantomime movie, and I don't use the white face. What you have is the puppet on the strings and the 9 feet tall kid, and they do the mime. It's a story who teaches you tolerance, friendship, respect the differences. It's a story with actually no words, and everything is through the acting, through the storyline, and through the emotion.
His new movie might be how mime reaches audiences in the 21st century. But Nicholas J. says the art form dates back thousands of years before the caveman developed a voice.
When they were going to hunting, they had the ceremonies. So with their body, with their emotions, with their things, they were doing the different movements, so they were expressing themselves.
Through the years, mime has evolved into an art that has crossover appeal.
And today we see the art of mime in anywhere, like in the dance, in performing arts, in theater. The mime can go in many different directions.
There's one name that's synonymous with the art. Marcel, as in Marceau. He and his character Bip helped to revive mime during the 20th century and became an international star.
Unfortunately, he passed away 1 year ago. But Marcel Marceau, he was still more than 80 years old and still on stage and still working. It's known fact that Michael Jackson actually worked with Marcel Marceau.
And so did Nicholas J. Marceau was his idol, teacher, and friend.
So much memories too. I'm one of the lucky guys who had the chance. Everything I know is because of Marcel Marceau.
He got the chance to study with Marceau in France after leaving his birthplace in the former Soviet Republic of Georgia. Nicholas J. was only 16, but he wanted to follow his dream of being an actor against his parents' wishes, and his talent won him a full scholarship to Marceau's Mime Academy. Through Marceau, Nicholas learned that mime involves intense commitment and physical training.
Every day you have a specific exercise, and it will take you at least 3 to 5 years minimum to really adapt that technique and start using.
Exercises that train you to start using your body to perform movements like this without a prop.
Stand up, stand up, up, you are using the wall to help you out.
And you're using your muscles. I mean, really.
Yeah.
You've got to have strong muscles to be able to do that. That's why you're skinny.
Nicholas admits the physical training is a huge part of mime art, but says there's also a level of fantasy.
Harry Potter, to Stargate, to Star Wars. We using lots of art on mime because sometimes we have to create the object. It doesn't exist. For example, when I'm opening something and this is the glowing ball, in reality it doesn't exist.
To be an effective mime, you have to be able to tell a story from beginning to end.
I open, I will close. First emotion, I'm home.
Over a 20-year span, Nicholas has developed and perfected his craft and says it's more than just some guy in white face.
When we look in the mime, we're thinking the mime, the guy who's following other people with a white face and make fun of them. That is just that little part.
In 1996, Nicholas J. had perfected his craft well enough for his character Bubble to be bought by Walt Disney World, which brought him to Orlando to perform at Epcot Center. Now he only performs during special events.
I would really like to develop the pantomime classes, so that's what we're working right now. So the kids can come for free. I personally in Orlando would like to create to pass whatever I know to pass the next generation.
And continue bringing poetry to silence.
Nicholas J. is working on a stage production of Marionette, which will premiere in March in the city of Love, Paris, France. So you'll want to stay tuned for that. If you want more information on the movie Marionette, simply log on to the links at our website. Well, when we talk about the arts in Central Florida, we're talking about a huge creative community covering many counties, each one with its own unique stamp on the art scene. Take, for example, here in Seminole County, with the bragging rights to its own galleries, museums, and theater, and so much more.
We've got everything from theater, historical museums, we've got nature trails, we've got eco art.
We have an artist reception. Folks will come in here and they get to look at the artwork. We have music recitals, we have poetry readings, we have outreach programming for the kids.
This is the place to be. This is where the arts are growing.
Where is this beautiful picture being painted, you ask? In Seminole County. Now, it may not be the first place you think of when it comes to culture and arts, but it is home to hundreds of creative minds.
I would say within a 3-block range, we have hundreds of artists represented.
That's just in Sanford, the largest of 7 cities in Seminole County. Community planner Kristen Dalton says in 2006, the city approved a cultural corridor that stretches between Sanford Avenue and 6th Street. A corridor that embraces not only art, but heritage and culture.
Janine Taylor's gallery here in the downtown has 8 working art studios, and they have opportunity for artists to come monthly to showcase basically whatever they're working on. The other thing we have monthly is an event called Alive After 5, and the artists will set up on the sidewalks and showcase their art. So they have, basically a captive audience one day a month where they can really get their art out there. This building that we're in right now, the historic Sanford Welcome Center, is also a gallery. We have art and consignment over here.
What you have is a ripple effect.
Nell Guinness is a strong advocate for the arts and works very closely with the Seminole Cultural Arts Council, an organization that supports arts and culture. She says the arts have played a major role in revitalizing Sanford's downtown district. But like many other art communities and nonprofit groups, they're feeling the downturn in the economy.
Because, of course, a great deal of the funding that comes through to many of the organizations is through public funding, i.e. the government funding or grants. And all of those entities have had to have cutbacks because of the funding situation or the economic situation that we currently find ourselves.
Even so, across Seminole County, the arts are thriving. Here in Castleberry, the city even has its own venue called, what else? The Art House. Linda Moore is in charge and says facilities like this are vital to the community, now more than ever.
In times like this, art is more needed. It's just the way it is. You know, people are going to be looking for things closer to home, things to do. This is economic. We have a community art house where we have classes that are actually affordable.
Moore and others in the arts community are very creative when it comes to finding funds to keep the arts alive.
We hold 2 fundraisers each year. The first is the Hearts Gala. That's held every February. We generate thousands of dollars of revenue each year through our Hearts Gala. Our second special event is the Howl for the Arts. Fantastic event where we ask local artists and celebrities to decorate, create one-of-a-kind masks. All the monies that get raised at both Hearts Gala and Howl for the Arts go right back into arts and cultural programming into the community.
And there's no debate that community support is equally as important.
By membership, by attending, buying tickets, buying one of the state-of-the-art license plates. Every license plate that is ordered, the state-of-the-arts license plate, $20 goes directly to the Seminole Cultural Arts Council, and those proceeds again go right back out into the community to support different art and cultural programming here.
Without the arts, people don't have an outlet, and I think unfortunately in times like this is when the arts is getting cut. But this is when the arts should be even more embraced.
And when you do, they say the experience you have through arts and cultural activities in your community stretches from A to Z, and the benefits are endless.
When they have a great turnout and they fill those seats, or an art gallery sells that art and a studio is thriving because people are commissioning work, what happens is it generates a positive economic cycle and a positive quality of life so that artists benefit, the local businesses benefit, the city, the county benefits, because it's all positive return on investment.
Just like a priceless piece of art. But the key in Seminole County and across Central Florida is art is all about getting involved. Now, if you want to support the arts in Seminole County, there's a fun event coming up called Howl for the Arts. It's October 25th, and it includes food, entertainment, an auction, and so much more, and it's all for the arts. For more information, simply check out the links at our website. Well, again, we're here at the Sanford Museum in downtown Sanford, and there is a lot of pride in this community. This museum was built as a memorial for the city's founder, Henry Sanford. And joining me now is the museum's curator, Alicia Clark. And Alicia, thank you for hosting the Arts Connection. Tell us more about who Sanford was.
Well, Henry Sanford was an American diplomat and an investor in Florida, and he is one of the founders of the Florida citrus industry. And our museum was built in 1957 as a memorial to him, and we do house many things given to us by his daughter Corolla Sanford Dow. But in recent years, we also collect the rest of the history of the city as well. But we're particularly proud today to have you here in his rooms, where we have his personal collection of portraits and landscape paintings from his homes in Derby, Connecticut and Brussels, Belgium.
Tell us more about the artwork in here. It's very beautiful, and of course it's 19th century.
Yes, we're very fortunate to have these things, and I think the collection is somewhat unusual for Central Florida. We have portraits from his family and associates of his, dating from the 1820s through mostly the 1860s. Although he died in 1891, the paintings do not go that late. We have pastels, we have oil paintings, and it's a good place for people who have not had access to that type of portraiture to come and study how it changes through the years.
And these are all portraits of Mr. Sanford and his family.
Yes, we're very fortunate that we have multiple portraits at different ages of Henry Sanford himself.
So what's the most rare or unique piece of art here?
One of the most unusual things that we have commented on is a painting of his son, Henry Sanford Jr., and he is in a muslin dress and has long golden curls. And we have people come in all the time and want to know who the pretty little girl is. And it's just a Victorian style. It's a little hard to explain, but it's the sentimentality, particularly since his mother had already lost one child before he was born.
Wow, so it's still a lot to see here.
Yes.
When can visitors come by?
The museum is open Tuesday through Friday, 11 to 4, and we're open Saturday afternoon, 1 to 4. We're also open by appointment for research or special tours. We also collect the history of our city itself, the families and the people who built the town here.
Awesome. Well, then, thank you again for hosting us.
So happy to have you.
And of course, if you want more information about the Sanford Museum, simply check out the links at our website. Well, up next, they're the ace of cakes in Central Florida, whipping up weekly slices of sculpture. And no matter what your artistic tastes are, there's always something to admire at this Winter Park Cake Shop.
Winter Park native Larry Bach first put his stamp on the Orlando skyline as a general contractor. Now, 23 years later, he's making his mark in a sweeter way, building edible works of art at his custom cake shop, Sprinkles.
What we pride ourselves on is being able to do cakes in any shape, because the trend nowadays is that people don't want a cake that looks like a cake. They want it to look like a dog or a purse or who knows what.
Since 1994, Sprinkles has been considered the ace of cakes of Central Florida, wowing customers with anything and everything made from cake. In 2007, their popularity soared. Hey, look at that cake! They surpassed 5,000 wedding cakes and shortly after added a new ingredient to the plate, divorce cakes.
I found it quite funny that after 5,000 wedding cakes, I got actually worldwide notoriety for doing a divorce cake. And it came as a result of a little blurb in Time magazine, which was doing a story about people making money off divorces, and it mentioned my divorce cake.
And they built just as much a reputation for what's underneath the icing.
I have to tell you that I think some of the artistry is right in here, in the taste of the cake. Pick up some cream cheese first in your fork, and now spear a piece of the raspberry swirl, and that's what our most popular cake tastes like. Yellow raspberry swirl, cream cheese filling.
Oh my gosh.
No, oh my God is a different flavor.
Bach discovered a passion for cooking when he was in college.
When I was a college student, I made a deal with my roommates that I would do all the cooking and they would do all the cleaning. And so ever since then, until I got married at the age of 33, I did cooking for myself and extensively, and I really liked it. And so when the time came to make a career change, it just seemed like the right thing to do at the time.
So after 23 years of contracting, Bach cooked up a new career. He got into the food business by buying Sprinkles, a retail cake supply store at the time. And over the past 15 years, he's turned it into a booming custom cake business, where the works of art cost anywhere from $20 to several thousand.
Where the magic happens?
Where the magic happens, we convert the plain cakes here to the works of art.
Magic indeed, as each week his team of trained artisans whip up 180 scrumptious sculptures.
So this is where the cakes are baked, and this is where everything starts. This is how we make the yellow raspberry swirl cake. You'll notice she's put the batter into the pan, and now she's going to take some raspberry filling, dollops. Okay.
That's just raspberries?
That's just raspberry filling.
Ooh.
Okay. And then she's going to swirl it through so it has that marble look the same way as a marble cake is done.
Ooh.
You see?
Once the batter is baked, it's sent from the bakery to the decorating room to be cut into its specific shape all by hand.
You don't have forms for all these cakes. What happens is we bake square or round cakes and then we cut them into shape. Now this one is shaped and iced and it's going to be a butterfly.
Once they get the shape, a decorating artist embellishes it with detail.
The color has been added to this cake. We prefer to airbrush the color on it. It's really necessary to be just a decorator at a supermarket. You know, I would call it a craft. To do some of the stuff that we do is definitely an art.
While it's weddings that take the cake for the most common request, some unique shapes offer quite a bite.
What's the most elaborate thing you've tried to do?
Well, I think the biggest cake that I've done that I'm, I suppose, most proud of is the table cake that fed 2,850 people.
An 800-pound, 12 by 4 foot table that could serve, get this, 3,000 people. Whew, that's a lot of cake.
People don't believe that that it's really cake until we cut it up and served it. But yes, I made a special kind of box beam to make sure that it supported 700 or 800 pounds of cake.
And it's cakes of this size where his construction background comes in handy.
Cake is probably the worst building material that you can imagine. It's very weak, There's no cantilevering, you can't pile up a lot of cake or it'll compress. But when you do have something that's cantilevered, we cheat. We use some styrofoam or something else.
Through practicality and innovation, their designs are limitless. From animals to buildings, these artists bring it all to life.
It takes that artistic eye to be able to see beforehand what you're going to do and then make it come true.
A true art form from the beginning to the end.
Well, that wraps it for us here at the Sanford Museum in downtown Sanford. We certainly hope you have enjoyed our program. Please listen up for us on the radio. That's 90.7 FM for the Arts Connection Minute, weekdays at 9:59 a.m. And don't forget to check us out on the web. You'll find our podcast there, as well as information for the stories you've just seen. You'll also find the Arts Connection blog with lots of information about events and happenings right here in Central Florida. And yes, you can also send us your ideas there. That's WMFE.org/arts. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye. Don't forget to join us next week when the Arts Connection explores the world of depression glass.
This is what we call the iridized. It is not carnival, it's iridized. And this cup and saucer is about $400.
Then we liven things up with the dancers of the Orlando School of Cultural Dance.
We want to make sure that if you're going to be a part of this program, we can see measurable difference. We can look and say, wow, your grades have gone up. You're doing well in school.
That and much more in the weeks ahead as we continue our all-new season of The Arts Connection.